Hey everybody, most welcome to this wonderful space. Matt Effect, how are you doing? It is just 4 minutes past 8 p.m. We've been taking a bit longer to join the space earlier on, but today we're on time, so I hope as people join in, we'll be able to have this conversation deeply and we'll be able to share with you guys. Egesa, how you doing, man? How you doing? Nice to see you. Are you among the first people to come? Hillary, how are you? Nice to see you guys. So I'm just waiting for Ivan to join me here, and we're gonna have a discussion. We're gonna talk about a lot of things today, but most especially going practical with the forex trading. Yes, Ivan, nice to see you. So Ivan is here, our speaker. We were not able to be here on Tuesday, but now we're here. We wanna use this opportunity to discuss a lot of things that we missed out. We've been off for some time now. Also, I had some issues with actually my Twitter update. But surprisingly, Twitter support did send me a message and they told me what I needed to do. It was about clearing the history of the app. I think the previous version of the app that I had. So after clearing it, my chats were back to normal. I would be able to host the spaces just like we're doing now. In the last week, we really faced it hard. Ivan was the one hosting because my platform had actually gotten some issues. Ivan, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clear.
Man, I'm so excited to hear from you. It just feels like it's been a whole year without hearing your voice.
I'm back. Don't worry.
Nice,
I'm
nice,
going to start from
nice,
where we
nice,
stood.
nice to have you back. That's a very motivating statement. And of course, I know definitely quite a number of people must have been missing you. One thing you guys can help me do, for those of you that have already joined the conversation, please just go ahead, tap that feather like with an addition sign, with a plus sign, and share the conversation on your timeline so that we can be able to have more people joining in into the conversation. But Ivan, how have you been? It's been long since we last spoke. I know you've been going through some bit of, domestic situation, but by and large, how have you been? We just want to know to keep up with you.
Uh, not been bad personally, but yeah, as you know how things, what I told you about, but I'm managing right now. I'm recovering. Hopefully, I'll get better with time. How have the market been? I haven't looked in the charts for like a whole week now.
Um, Let me tell you something. Today the market was just ranging. It didn't have any serious trends with it. Yesterday there was a lot expected to happen. I think there is some news that was happening in the US. It had very minimal impact. In fact, there is a time I think almost everybody was waiting to see what the news was how the news was going to impact on the market, but it nothing totally. Of course, there was some, very minor kind of volatile movements around the same time, maybe 15 minutes to and 15 minutes later, but it did not have any serious impact on the market. So today the market was actually just ranging, no serious trends. It was just a bit subtle. That's what I can say as of now. Maybe for people who may have traded some other assets, but still, usually the market actually takes the same trend. When there is some trend in a certain pair or some pairs, somewhere, somehow, it affects all the other pairs. The movements can be seen. But today the market was just ranging. So many people actually didn't trade. Sometimes I read the news from some outlets and stuff. So many people didn't trade today. And maybe many will be trading tomorrow or maybe next week. Yeah, but there's really nothing so significant. The usual pairs have kept on falling, the ones you left falling. Now that you've not made money from them this week, maybe next week we'll still catch them falling. Yeah, so basically that's the observation I actually made. Um, it's been subtle.
Okay. Yesterday, I think I had left last week on my notes. It was supposed to be inflation rate and FOMC meeting. I think that's what was happening
Yes,
yesterday.
yes. Everybody waited for to see something going on. Nothing. Like I think it must have been a unique situation though, because it looks like there was a bit of consolidation of the market. Everybody was waiting to see what the impact was going to be, but
That's
there were not really so many significant moves as a result
that's a
of the
surprise
event.
actually, because that's kind of like a surprise, because you're expecting both of the two, you just know like FOMC and interest rate, you just know that the market is going to go berserk, especially in this moment where inflation is so high. So inflation rate is so significant in the market. It makes the market move. Maybe they didn't change anything. They just maybe put the basis that was expected. I think 0.75 was the one expected. I'm not so sure. Yeah. So I'll start trading. I think next week I'll be looking in the charts on Saturday and Sunday. Right now I'm in resting mode. So
Yeah, actually, I think there wasn't any significant change because even the media outlets that usually give us the news, where we catch those live, impact of such events, there was nothing really given a lot of attention, even today throughout the day. So I think it almost remained like status quo, like how it was, or maybe something slightly just changed. So it did not impact the markets that much.
okay. Usually any change in the figures always impacts the markets very high. If there was no impact in the market, then it means there was no significant change in the market. So in the data sent out yesterday, sorry. So how are the
Yeah,
students? How
the students are good. Last on Tuesday, quite a number of people reached out to me. It's so incredible how our community is really, really committed to having this thing. Because on Tuesday, I had actually a number of people reach out to me asking why we are not having the space. It's the same situation that has always happened when we go missing on the space. But I was able to make a post and I explained to them that we were dealing with something, but they understood. They understood. The communication has actually been very, very good. I really just can't wait for us to start having maybe some practicals where we now get real actionable things, to do. But the students are doing good. I'm so sure maybe many are going to be joining because I see quite a number of the people in the space today. Some are just coming back after missing some sessions, but we they were actually very good. Maybe today, just to take them through what we're going to discuss today, what Ivan is going to take us through are the following things. What's the best time to trade as a beginner? That's one of the things we're going to look at. Then the other is what are the best pairs to trade as a beginner? Also, number three is what strategies to trade as a beginner. And definitely, number four is going to be what should your trading plan be or look like as a beginner. So, this is what we're going to be looking at today. And if you're ready for the conversation, you're in the right place. Um, many of you, actually, we've been chatting. Many of you have significantly impacted yourselves with a lot of knowledge, which I think is very good. Because honestly speaking, Ivan, I've been sharing with you, you showed me a lot of indicators of why knowledge is very, very powerful in this game. I'll tell you, there is a lot and a lot of information out there on how to trade the markets. There's a lot of content that so many people have put out, and some people call themselves like the geniuses, stuff like that. But not everything they say is actually what you're supposed to follow. So the only way to keep yourself on a safer side is to make sure that you are as knowledgeable as possible. And it doesn't stop you from listening to what people are saying, but what is going to impact you is that you have equipped yourself with as much information as possible. Because this market is about information, it's about knowledge, it's about things are practical. You don't just wake up and just bump into things. You must know where you start from, you must know how much you know, and you need to seek information for you to make the right decision. So what we're going to discuss today, I think, is really, really hands-on. Ivan, I may not have told you, I have had a very, very significant last 5 weeks. I just can't tell you how much impact it's made, but I think I've also devoted so many hours into this game and learning quite beyond the rhetoric, theoretical part that I had done before, and I thought I knew something. The more I have, read and informed myself, the more I discovered there were many things I needed to get my hands on. So it's been very, very impactful, and I'm so sure many of us, in this community may be having the same experience. But yeah, that's by and large, that's the status quo as of now. So we just can't wait to hear from you as you take us to newer levels, to also help us. The psychological bit of a Forex broker that you did was very, very important, especially when it comes to that bit of risk management. Knowing when to leave, knowing when to join, knowing when to exit, knowing when to enter is a very, very good discipline that you discussed for us. So we're looking forward to today's topic. Kindly take it over.
I think before we go forward, I wanted to ask you like the Tuesday lesson that we missed. Are we gonna, as we had talked, are we gonna push it to Saturday? Is it gonna be possible so that people know in advance and we prepare for it, or we'll just continue the usual way?
I think what I will do after this, no, actually, I'm going to put up a poll. So let me put up a poll as we discuss here to see if people are ready for the Saturday conversation. We can have it on Saturday in the morning hours. But let me put up a poll and I pin it up here so people can vote as we go on.
Okay. So today, as Yugaman had already explained, we're going to talk about most of these topics for today are the questions that I've been getting a lot in my DMs that you guys have been asking me about. What are the best times to trade and the best time frames to trade? Remember, in Forex, times and time frames are different. When I talk about times, I mean like Forex sessions. The New York, London, Asian, Frankfurt, those are the times or sessions. Then when I talk about time frames, I'm talking about H4, H1, H2, M1. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you can go back to the lessons that we had before. They're on Yugaman's timeline. I think Yugaman, you should create, I think, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but you need to put those lessons somewhere where people can find them easily and go back to them, because every day we get new people who have missed a lot. So I think it will be very helpful to them. And those who don't follow me, please follow me. And you can always ask me any questions. You can always come to my inbox and ask me anything that you want to know. If you have a chart you're looking at and you want my assistance, if you're having a pair you want to look at, or you have something that you're looking at in the market that you don't understand, you can always come to me. I'll always get back to those who come to me and ask. So as I was saying, today we're going to learn about what are the best time frames or sessions to trade and sessions to trade. what strategies to use to trade as a beginner. Remember, when you're a beginner, today's topics are about beginners because I'm I'm considering that most people we are teaching here are beginners. Even if you're an intermediate or advanced, this information is important to you because in your process of learning, you might have missed something. So it's always good to take some points because even me, I can find a beginner on YouTube teaching, but or somewhere else in a Zoom call, and I just attend their lessons because you never know, somebody has some information that you personally don't have at the moment, and you learn from them because in Forex every day, you once if you do research and learn a lot, you'll find something that you didn't know, and you'll be able to learn something new. So always make sure you don't put yourself above everyone. Since you think that you've been trading for 4 years and you find somebody who has been trading for a year or even 6 months, they might have information better than yours. Because let me tell you guys, for people who are here, who are learning from here, we are teaching a lot of information that is not given out there, or that is given out there, but people are lying. Because most people who give this information out there, they just want to lure you into making money from you most of the times. And they really show you only the positive side. They don't show you the negative side of trading, and they don't tell you about the losses, the accounts you blow, and everything. So you might have been learning from the gurus, but what we are teaching here is very important. And the other thing we're going to talk about, apart from the strategies and the time frames, is going to be what you should do before you start trading, what your trading plan should be before you start trading, and also what are the pairs you should choose as a beginner. Because if you're a beginner, you're not going to be trading everything. You'll start trading anything you want once you have reached a certain level of your trading career. Because right now, if you go on to trade everything, you're going to just confuse yourself. So instead of confusing yourself and trading everything that is in the market, and because at the end of the day, if you feed yourself with a lot of charts, you analyzing this and that, you're in crypto, you're in stocks, you're in currencies, you're in everything, you're in indices, you're in index funds, everything, you find yourself very confused. And by the time you pick a pair to trade, you'll end up making losses because you've been through a lot. So let's start today's topic with the number one topic. What are the best times to trade? The things I'm going to teach today, I'm going to talk from personal experience, and apart from personal experience is what I've seen like works most for a lot of people. Because and according to the region we are in, for example, if I'm talking about best times to trade, if I tell you that you should trade Asian session, when Asian session happens when you guys are sleeping, then it won't be helpful because you'll be losing your sleep, and it's always not good to trade when you're tired. So it's always good to start your trading when you're very fresh, you have a stable mind, and you're ready. Not when other people are sleeping and you're on charts, you're exhausted, you have sleep. So the best sessions to trade for me, I would advise you to trade the London session, which is in the morning from around 8 or 9 to 5. So it's like from the time people start going to work and from the time people come back from work. That's the London session. Then the New York session starts at 2 and ends at 10. So you can see at 10 p.m., you can see that those are the sessions that I would recommend you guys to trade. And from what I can tell you is that these sessions, first of all, they are the most volatile sessions in the market. They have the most volatility. Most people trade those sessions. There is a lot of money, so there is a lot of movement. They won't be lagging a lot, and you can choose anything and it will be moving around that time. And another thing, you'll be fresh. It's during daytime, so you have all the 12 hours of the day to look at the charts and choose what to trade. But again, you should also keep in mind these sessions also have like breaks where there is nothing that will be happening in the market. So, for example, the London session, uh, it can be it's mostly more volatile from 8 to around 12 midday. Then from 12 to 2, before exactly before the New York session opens, it will be just moving up and down in sideways. It will be ranging. There's nothing that will be happening a lot there because most people will be in lunch, others will be doing other things, resting. So there's nothing that will be happening in the market at around that time. And also the New York session, like around this time, exactly this time, when you go in the market, it's not doing that much. But if you go in the market at around 3 or 2 to around 2 to 5, and then uh, 8 to around 10, the market will be so volatile around those times. I mean, because me, I'm talking in South African time, so you guys will help me and put it in your own time where you are, because I can't know where everyone is from right now. So the times I'm talking about are in South African time. So please convert them to your home time. Those, because most people here are from Uganda. The time, you should be 1 hour ahead of me. So if I say 2 o'clock, then put it at 3 o'clock. You get. If I say 5, then put it at 6. So as I've said, you should always look out for those two sessions. They are the best to trade. You also can go and do your own research, more research about the London and New York sessions. We talked about these sessions as a whole topic. So those people who have been with us from the beginning, you know what I'm talking about. Those who were not here from the beginning, you go back to Yugamani's timeline and look for that space where we talked about these market sessions. Then when we go to time frames, these are the hours you see when you go on the chart. The 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 15, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 1 week, 1 month, daily. Those are the time frames. So most of you have been asking me which is the best time frame to trade, those kind of questions. So personally, I would advise you to trade the 4 hour and the daily. I'm going to give you my reasons. I know most of you like trading the 5 minutes and 30 minutes and even 1 minute. So reason I'm telling you you should trade the 4 hour and the daily is this. One is because they give a clear image of what's happening in the market. The banks and the main market movers, they don't trade the 1 minute charts, they don't trade the 5 minute charts, they really don't care about those ones. So if you want to know what is really happening in the market, look at the 4 hour, even 2 hours. Look at the 2 hours, or even those who want quick money, you can look at the H1, the 1 hour. You can look at the 1 hour going above 1 hour, but the best ones are the 4 hour and the daily for swing traders. But those ones who have patience, you can even trade the weekly and the monthly. Actually, those ones are very good for somebody who is working, because you won't spend a lot of time on analyzing charts on the computer, looking at what's happening in the market, because it gives a very clear direction of where the market is going. Those are the charts that banks and major market movers look at, because for them they will set a time. They will look at a chart of the daily, and they will set a time like in 2 weeks we're going to do this. So they won't do it in 5 minutes or what. They will look at a time frame of 2 weeks. They collect their money and collect their funds and get ready. When that period comes, they trade. So for you who is looking at the 5 minutes, you're looking at market moving in the money that is coming in and out. It's very tiresome to follow. It's very confusing, and you'll find the market changing every now and then. You can see a market, for example, you can see the market in an uptrend. In when you're in the 1 minute time frames, you can see it in an uptrend. Then after 2 hours, the market will be in a downtrend, or even after 30 minutes, the market will be in a downtrend. Then you ask yourself, what happened? You get those kind of small time frames are very confusing, and you get freedom of, if you're trading the higher time frames like the H4 and the daily, you get a lot of freedom to know what is happening in the market. You can trade doing other things. You can even, for example, me when I trade those hours. I can put in a trade, even watch a movie or sleep, or even go grocery shopping or do something else, go for a run, go do whatever I want to do. You get, because I know the market is not going to make a very big impact immediately. So, unless there are certain things that have made the market move in a direction that it was not intended to move in, that happened when I'm not there. But also, before I put in my trades, I put a lot of things into considerations, and we're going to talk about those things today. So, those of you have been asking which are the best time frames to trade, and also it reduces your risk and your losses. If you're trading the 4 hour, you're gonna have to put your stop losses. I mean, you're gonna have to make a few trades, and if you're trading few trades in a day, like 2 or 1, meaning your losses will also be less. And if you're also trading the daily, you might be even putting 2 trades a week, so it reduces your risk and your reward will be high, because you'll be having patience. You'll be waiting for a long time to close that trade. You'll be waiting for either a day or 2 days or even a week. And by the time you close that trade, it will be in a very big profit. The market would have made a big move. So that's the reason why I choose those time frames. Before we move on from the time frames and the sessions to trade, I would like you, Gaman, if you have anyone who has a question, then we answer it on what I've been talking about recent. Now, if there's anyone with a
Um,
question, you can request.
Maybe just even to supplement what you've just said, the timeframes you've mentioned, I think, are actually very key and critical for anyone that wants to be able to catch the right entry and the right exit, because the 1 hour, 4 hours time frames, they kind of give you an average movement of the market. Take, for example, if the market is trending maybe downwards or upwards, those two sessions will clearly be able to show you that the market is trending downwards. And when the market is trending downwards, you don't want to trade against it. Or if the market is trending upwards, you don't want to be trading against it. So those two time frames can be able to clearly give you a picture of how the market is moving. Unlike the 1 minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, it's anything always that happens within those time frames. It changes the market. The curve keeps going up and down, and it causes a lot of confusion to many beginners. Personally, I was also a victim of that. Sometimes you want to wait and time the 1 minute, time frame, but 1 minute is too fast in changing direction. You just can't even be able to read the trend of the market. So I think really the 1 hour and the 4 hours time frame is a very incredible time frame to trade. If anyone has a question, guys, for Ivan, as regards those that first segment, he's talked about the time frames to trade and everything. Please do request for the mic. I'll give you the mic so you can speak to him. As of now, I don't see anyone. Oh, okay. There's someone who has requested here. Timo Kemba. Timo Kemba has requested, so I'll approve Timo. and I'll wait for him to get. So, Ivan, before you go on, Timo has requested to speak to you. I hope he can quickly come through so we can listen to him before you go on to the next segment of today's. Oh, Timo is here. Yes, Timo, just unmute your mic and go ahead.
Yes, please. Thank you, Yugaman and Ivan. So,
Okay,
uh,
we are listening.
from what you talked about earlier on the types of traders, you said that a scalper is always going to be looking into those small time frames, M5, M15.
Yes.
So, doesn't this really discourage someone who is going to start as a scalper? And then the second question is, how much of an
Mm.
impact of the higher time frames to a person who has a very small account? Those are my questions.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, Ivan, just before you answer, we also have Namubiru on online. Namubiru, if you could unmute yourself so you can ask your question as well, so Ivan can take on the two questions at once.
Thank you. Thank you, Ivan and Yogaman. Actually, my question is the same. So are you saying that you're discouraging a beginner from scalping if you tell us to only trade the bigger time frames?
Okay. First of all, I'm not discouraging anyone from trading the smaller time frames. When I was starting, I told you guys, I'm talking from personal experience and what I know that is best. You get? It's like when you're going to choose a course when you're going at university, you have a lot of courses to choose from, but you'll choose what's best for you, and also for the reason, and you also have reasons why you're choosing it. First of all, maybe the job opportunities are more in that course. Maybe the salaries are high when you take that course. Maybe that's what your parents want you to do. For any reason, you want to go with it. So when I talk about trading H4 and the daily, what I'm saying is that there I'm talking about from personal experience that they have been the best for me personally. And if I'm advising somebody who I'm teaching, I'll also advise them the same. But as I told you, this is for a beginner. I'll advise a beginner to do this. But if you have some experience and you've been trading the lower time frames and they've been working for you, there is no problem with that at all. But for a beginner, I'll advise them to start with the higher time frames. Reason is because one thing that will discourage you as a beginner when you're starting is making a lot of losses and a lot of mistakes. So to avoid all those losses and mistakes, higher time frames are better because you will spend less time on the charts. You will also, as I told you, you'll put in less trades and you make few losses. You get, and also your risk to reward ratio when you make profit, it will be very high. Rather than if you're trading short time frames, you'll be making take profits of 10 pips. Then it means you also have to open another trade. By the time you want to make a trade of 100 pips, you'll have open like 10 or 20 trades. You get, and in those 10 or 20 trades, you'll find that if you were targeting 100 pips, you've you've even lost like 15 of those 20 trades, and you'll even go even way below your target. You'll find that you're in a loss instead of being profitable that day. So, but when you're trading higher time frames like H4, you'll only open one trade and it will give you around 300 pips. So you'll avoid taking a lot of trades. And if that trade even fails, you find that your stop loss was even like 30 or 50 pips, but you're targeting 300. But if in a week you open 3 of those trades and 2 fail and you only get 1, you'll find yourself, even if your stop loss was 50 pips and you lost 2 trades, you would have lost 100 pips. And the one trade that you got profit from, which was a target of 300 pips, you'll find yourself coming out of the week only trading only trading 3 trades, losing 2, but making a profit of 200 pips. I hope that makes it clear for you guys, for the reasons why I'm advising you to take the higher time frames. And the lower time frames are also very exhausting. If you're trading the lower time frames, you'll spend a lot of time analyzing, and you'll be checking in and out every time because the market changes a lot during those lower time frames.
Just
Namobiru
maybe,
and Timo, have
just
I
maybe
answered
also
that?
just to supplement Ivan on what you've said, I think also one thing that maybe as beginners, what we need to discover is there is what they call major moves of the market and minor moves of the market. So as you go on to draw those trend lines on the 1 minute movements, those minor movements of the market, the 1 hour and 4 hours time frame will actually give you a significant major move of the market. So you can actually be able to make a better decision when you see a major move of the market. I'll just give you an example. If, for example, you have you want to draw your trend line on a 4 hours time frame, it's going to be more accurate. And I mean more accurate in terms of the significance of the move of the market than drawing a trend line on a 1 minute time frame, because the 1
Exactly.
minute time frame is playing within the 4 hours. So you are most likely to make a right decision on a higher time frame, which is like 1 hour and 4 hours, than even when you're a beginner, by the way, because me, I've tried it. Even when you're trading 0.01 on a higher time frame like 1 hour or 4 hours, you don't even panic, because it takes long for you, even your price, to go into negative, to go into positive. So it gives you that psychological comfort of, like, I made a decision that is going to lead my trade to being profitable. So I think that's one thing that people need to discover. I know a lot of people, because the 1 minute time frame has a lot of curves, these all, shoulders and all these things. But drawing a trend line on a 1 minute time frame is minor as compared to drawing a timeline on a 4 hours or 1 hour's time frame.
Okay. Shortly to
I,
add
I
on that.
see Musta actually may be having a question, Ivan, just before you continue. Musta, would you unmute yourself and speak to us?
Yeah, yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for everything. Yugaman and Ivan. What you guys are talking about is so true. It is very true, because for people who are just starting, may be seeing it as fantasy, but I've tried going into live trading, and it is wow. As you said, it is actually emotional. More so when you're trading the 15-minute time frame, okay, the lower time frame, because I realized that in UG, most of the guys here are taking Forex as a side hustle. So it means that someone wakes up, and most of the times they have something to handle. So realize that when you place a trade on the 15-minute time frame, it is very hard to be profitable, because you'll be checking in like after 30 minutes, and then because you're caught up with something you're doing. So I fell a victim, because I was trading, and then it was hitting my stop loss. Yeah, I started with some little money, it was hitting my stop loss. Then I resorted to the 4 hour, and 4 hours was so nice, by the way. Just that yesterday I was not sure. I was not sure of the fundamentals. So there was news at 9 p.m. yesterday. So that one drove me back, and my account actually went back to zero. So I'm now at zero. But it's so nice. Thank you guys for sharing. Yeah, because people
Okay.
who don't know may think that these things are not real, but they are so real. So maybe you'll enlighten us about the risk management on the 4 hour time frame with little cash, like someone who is having like $25. You get, how can you do good risk management with that on a higher time frame? Thank you.
Okay. Uh, Thank you for enlightening your friends more about that. So, for example, let me go back a little bit to what Yugaman was saying. The psychological torture you get from being a scalper is too much. That's why I don't advise anyone to be a scalper. Timo was asking about me discouraging people being scalpers. If you're ready for the psychological touch of being a scalper, of being on charts for a long time, checking on the market every time, if you have all the time in the world, why not? You can try it. But being a scalper, usually people, if you're a scalper and you have a strategy, what I would advise you is put that strategy on an EA, like a trading robot. It can be better of a trader than you, because it won't be putting any psychology in it. It will be trading as how you told you. You get. So for it, for those who trade, who are scalpers, I advise, if you have a strategy and you're a scalper, put it on an EA. It will be very good for you. It will save you a lot of time and also a lot of emotional damage. And another thing about Timo and Musta have asked about small accounts. So if you have like a $25 account and you want to be to trade the 4 hour, and you know what we talked about here is always make sure you're a profitable trader than a trader who's gonna make a lot of profit. Some of you want to take $25 to $500 in 1 week or even in a month. It's not going to be possible. If you know you have $25, then put a realistic target. At least say, let me double this amount by the end of the month. Remember, if you end the month with $50, remember, before you started the month, you didn't even have that $50. You only had 25. So you've already made $25. You're already profitable. Rather than you targeting yourself to make either 100 or 500 by the end of the month, meaning you're gonna put a lot of pressure on yourself because of your target, and you'll end up losing a lot of money. And last time when I was teaching about risk management, I gave you guys a method to use to find the correct road size and risk. If you have a trade on the H4 and that trade, you're risking 50 pips and you have 25, you have $25. It means, how much are you willing to risk on that one trade for $25 if you have a stop loss of 50 pips? Let's say you're willing to risk $5. It means you'll only be able to trade that $25 on a micro account. You can't open a standard account for $25. I talked about the different types of accounts and why you're supposed to open a micro or mini or nano or standard account. I explained all that. Those who were not around, as I've said already, please always go back and check the previous spaces that we had, because we can't repeat all that information now. But also look for those who are not around, look for that strategy that we gave out for finding the correct lot size to use and how to manage your losses. So and Musta and Timo, if you want to trade with a small account, use the strategy that I gave. I know you guys were here the last time that I was teaching about that. You guys, I remember you were here. So go back to that strategy, find the lot size, find the pips that your loss is at, the pips you want to take, either 50 or even 100, then how much you want to lose. Then use the strategy to find the correct lot size. And also, don't open a standard account with $25. Don't open an ECN account or zero spread account with $25. Start small. Go back to the nano or micro account. It will help you a lot, because, and also don't open larger leverages. For example, 1:500. Start with 1:100, because you have little money. Don't risk it all on a higher leverage. Get those things will help you a lot on managing your account. And put realistic targets. Put less targets. As long as you end the month on a positive side, that will give you motivation to go on for the next month. If you know you have only $25 this month, if you trade it and end the month with $50, you've made $25 more. It means it will give you motivation. Even you save another $25 and you add it on for that month, then you start the next month with about $75. So you see, by the time you're in the next month or in 6 months time, you'll find yourself with maybe $700 or $500 with somebody who started with $25. That's why I always say every amount is possible to trade, but it depends how you want to trade it, and also your psychology of trading will affect you very much on how you trade that amount. Another thing is that as we learn, I'm going to teach you how you guys can learn so that you can even save or scale up your amount very slowly, so that in the future you can take up challenges in prop firms and you get higher amounts to be funded to trade with, instead of trading with small amounts. Because at the end of the day, those small amounts, if you're trading with them, you will make little money for here and there, but they won't take you too far as much as you want to go. So the best way is to become a funded trader at the end of the process. Or if you have anyone who can fund you once you have all the necessary knowledge and requirements, then it will be better for you that way. I hope I've answered those questions that you guys asked. You can give a thumbs up if those who asked the questions, if your questions were answered very well. Then Yuga man, I don't know if we have another speaker. I saw somebody who came in and went out.
There is someone who came in and went out, but just maybe to Ivan. I think also maybe at some appropriate point you will be able to take us through the point when people should know when to use a stop loss. I know when you're a beginner, let me tell you something, Ivan. One of the funniest things is when you're scalping, you want to catch a trade. In fact, sometimes you want to wait for that movement that you want to detect that it's gonna go down, then you sell, make a few, like you are on set to stop, to stop like the trade or anything, instead of using the stop loss. So many of us, when we are beginning, we forget that there is a stop loss. And also sometimes because we don't compute. So for example, when you have $25, you just simply need to divide that into 5 lives. Maybe, you have trades that are gonna fit within $5 5 times. And that also requires you to know a bit that you're going to have. So meaning with $25, you don't want to play trades at the same time. You want to do one, and then you know that within that one, you are able to risk $5. And maybe for that risk, you want a reward of say $10 or 15 on that. But of course, I know as a beginner, that's one of the toughest things, Ivan, to use. By the way, I must confess, the stop loss thing is so hard to use when you're a beginner. Most of the times we want to walk in just live on the market. You walk in, you take this buy, and you start praying to God. Like one time when you said God is not going to help you for that trade to return, we start like you watch it go. Psychologically, you just like comfortable. You're like, okay, maybe at $5 it's going to return. Then before you know it, it's in 10, 12. Then you're like, oh, maybe it may just return back. And that's the challenge with a 1 minute time frame. But I totally understand for the guy who blew up the account. If you really like pick his psychology, like how he says the account, if he had used the stop loss, say like $3 or maybe 5, he wouldn't have blown it to zero.
Exactly. I wanted to ask you, Gaman, a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you like seat belts?
Yes, I do.
But there are a lot of people who don't like seat belts when they're in the car. But seat belts only, you don't know when you're going to have an accident. But a seat belt helps you when an accident happens and saves your life. Take it the same way as a stop loss. Most traders psychologically they don't like to put a stop loss. But a stop loss will only help you when that time comes like that guy who said he was not aware of the fundamentals. Even if he was not aware, if he had put a stop loss, he would have saved some money instead of losing it all. So I hope when you're going into it, you use the same psychology, and it will help you a lot. You
Okay,
understand what I'm
fantastic.
saying?
Yes, and I think actually the other person who had wanted to ask a question, maybe their network just jammed, they went off. So maybe we can continue to the next segment of our conversation.
Okay, let's continue. I think we were talking about time frames and time to trade. That is done. So we're going to talk about what are the best pairs to trade as a beginner. I'm going to be giving my own pairs from my own experience, and I'll give reasons why. The pairs I'm going to give are not supposed to be your favorite. And once you're no longer a beginner, or once you've traded them and you have seen, you can always also choose your favorite pairs to trade. The ones I'm going to give right now are my favorite. So you can try them out and see yourself. If they are not good for you, then you can check out other pairs. Hopefully that helps you guys to understand what I'm talking about. So the first pair is Euro USD. Euro USD, the reason I'm choosing this pair is because it's so volatile. And the best currencies in the world to trade right now that make a lot of moves are the euro and the US dollar, because they are the most used currencies in the world. You find that the whole Europe is using the euro and almost the whole world uses the dollar. So that's why I trade Euro USD, because of its volatility. Another currency is GBP USD, the British pound and the US dollar. Same reason as the Euro USD. GBP USD is also so volatile. It has clear trend lines, it has clear movements. That's why I also trade the what? The GBP USD. Another pair is the GBP JPY. The reason I trade GBP JPY is because it has become one of my favorite pairs, because when I was trading, when I was learning how to trade and analyzing, I found myself that I was winning more with GBP JPY than any other trade. Because me, I used to go back and look into my old trades and see which pairs were good for me, which pairs were bad, which pairs was I doing good. So I found that I was doing so good in GBP JPY. So why would I advise you also to use GBP JPY? So it's because I'm teaching you, and if I'm teaching, it means I'm teaching you the ways I trade. So if you're my student, it means if I'm teaching you the ways I trade, then it means you will also find it easy, or you'll find this pair good for you, because you'll be taking the same steps as me. If you're going to take the same steps as me, or you find yourself trading the same pairs like I trade, and you'll be winning because I've taught you the same strategies and the same methods to use to trade. So that's why I advise you to take GBP JPY, and also USD JPY, the US dollar and the Japanese yen. USD JPY is the same reason as as GBP JPY. It's also volatile and good. Then the last pair, those I'm going to give you only 5 pairs. The last pair is the USD CAD, the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. The reason I'm giving you this pair is because it's so volatile during the New York session, and I advised you guys to trade this pair during the New York session. It's because both the Canadian Stock Exchange market and the US, the New York Stock Exchange market at this time are open. Both these pairs are too volatile at that time. But also you should watch out when trading this pair, because when news are being released for fundamentals are being released for the USA and Canada for US and Canada, they are almost released always at the same times. So, and when data comes, it always takes the market sideways. You find the market going everywhere because US dollar might come in positive and the Canadian dollar come in positive too. Then it means they can't all be going in the same direction. This one will be pushing it that way and the other one will be pushing it this way. Maybe if this comes negative and the other one comes positive. So that's why I'm saying don't trade this pair during fundamentals where both the US and the Canadian dollar have fundamentals at that period of time. So other pairs, Euro USD, they always don't crash. USD JPY, GBP USD, and GBP JPY. That's one of the reasons I also trade them. They don't crash during fundamentals at all. So you find like the Euro and the Great Britain pound fundamentals come early in the morning, and the US dollar fundamentals come in the evening. And when it comes to the Japanese yen, they always come when we are sleeping. So you'll find that you're not affected. And usually the Japanese yen is not even moved by its fund for the fundamentals of Japan. It's usually moved by the fundamentals of what? Sorry, somebody had called me. Sorry. So you find that they are moved by fundamentals of the US dollar or the Great Britain pound. So my pairs that I'm advising here are 5: Euro USD, USD JPY, GBP USD, GBP JPY, and USD CAD. Those are the 5 pairs. Anyone who has a question about that before we move on?
Guys, if you have any question about the pairs, the favorite pairs to trade as a beginner, please do ask for the mic. I'll give it to you so you can talk to Ivan directly. Or if you don't want to speak actually in the space, you also have the option to send me a DM, or you can be able to make a post on the hashtag Forex Trading Simplified. Ivan, as we wait maybe for people to get started, I think also the pairs that you have mentioned are actually, most of them are major pairs. One of the reasons I think those pairs make a lot of sense for beginners is, there are some pairs you're going to try out, and I mean, the spread is too wide. For you to even make $1 off that trade, it's gonna take you a very, very huge time, especially those pairs that are not commonly traded on the, volatile markets like the London session and the US session. So I think the pairs you've mentioned are really very key in terms of also like the spread. You can quickly, in case you get your trade right, you can quickly be able to get something out of your trade than going for pairs that you're just gambling. I personally have an experience, but I think the Euro USD is one of those best things to happen on the stock, the forex market. It's one pair that, man, it just breaks all the moves. And I think also the USD JPY is a very, very strong pair. Anytime, any day, on the 1 hour time frame and 4 hour time frame, it's always incredible. So I'm just gonna wait for some maybe requests for those that have questions on the pairs to trade. But as of now, I don't see any questions coming through. So maybe we can be going on to the next segment of our conversation as we wait for people to react to the pairs session.
Okay. Before we continue, guys, if you have a question and you don't want to talk, you can always send it in my DM or send it in Yugaman's DM, or put it on the hashtag Forex Trading Simplified, the hashtag that you can see on the topic above. It will be answered, or in the space, you can tweet it in the space. that we are in.
Maybe also, Ivan, what I want to encourage our community to embrace is, guys, kindly don't keep quiet if you have a question that you want to put to Ivan. Let me tell you something. Sometimes you feel like, oh, okay, maybe everybody in this space is a real trader. Maybe people look at me as the only beginner, or maybe I'm the first one to go on to this. Guys, do not hold back a question. Please go ahead and ask that question, because that one fundamental question you ask may actually just turn around your entire trading career and things get better. So I know it happens most times, because when you hear Ivan speak, and of course, 4 years experience plus is a lot of time for someone who has been trading, and you hear what he's saying, you may be afraid. You're like, okay, how am I going to ask about this pair? How am I going to ask about the AUD, maybe Canadian dollar, or maybe the US dollar, stuff like that. So please, I want to encourage you that this is a safe space for you as a Forex trader to ask a question, because I believe it is simpler to actually ask a question here than asking a question on the timeline where it's open to everyone. And sometimes people may even, never respond the way you want to be responded to. So I encourage you, we're going to hold a lot of these conversations. Kindly open up your heart, open up yourself, guys. I mean, this thing we can only win if we are willing to expose our weaknesses so that we become better, and also to make sure that we always have something to fall back on in terms of information. Track Official, I think Track Official has a comment to make. He's going to be okay. Track Official, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please go ahead. Make your comment or question.
So thanks, Ivan and Yogaman. Thanks for the show. So my question is, you guys said that these major pairs, the GBP USD, the Euro USD, the GBP JPY, and the other pair, are so volatile. The question is, are these pairs, the movements, won't they affect the beginners like we? Because they are so volatile, would they affect our trading?
Okay. The answer to that would be, I think I was also going to talk about that, had noted it, but I left it out. I thought maybe it's not important, but I see it's really an important aspect. The reason I said you trade these pairs, even though actually on this list, guys, add on AUD USD, the Australian dollar and US dollar. It's also a very good pair. The reason why we are choosing these pairs, even though they are so volatile, for a beginner, is because even if you're a beginner, first of all, you won't remain a beginner forever, and you're not gonna be. If you learn trading, if you learn trading from the ones which are not volatile, that have slow movements, then it means you're not going to be used to volatility. By the time you get to volatility, you won't be able to trade it. So it's better to start the hard way from the hard pairs. And if you master those, then the other ones, it will be very easy for you. And another thing, as a trader, when you're starting, you'll be putting in little money, because you don't want to risk all your money. You'll be putting in less money. And these other pairs always have what we call a spread. They have bigger spreads, but these pairs have small spreads, which also you look at trading costs. Last time we were talking about trading costs, last time we had a space. When you look at trading costs, these pairs will cost you less to open and close a trade rather than other pairs. So you'll find the spreads of those other pairs very big, and to take you a certain time to hit the take profit, even when you're supposed to be hitting the take profit already. So brokers tend to eat more on these other pairs that are not traded a lot, because they know there are few people who trade them. So people won't stop using their broker even if they have big spreads on them. And they know most people who trade them are beginners who come without knowing what to do in the market. And they know if they put big spreads like on Euro USD, no one will trade using their broker, because most people trade Euro USD. So I won't go to a broker who puts more than 12 pips, more than 12 pips on Euro USD. I won't go there, because that's one of the most traded pairs. So if you're putting more than 12 pips as a spread, then who's gonna use your broker when there are brokers who put 2 pips or even 0? You get? So that's why I chose these pairs, because I looked at all factors before. I looked at a lot of factors which I was talking about last time, when some of these questions I answered them long time ago. When you go back from the lessons we've been learning, the spreads, the commission, the everything that we've been learning, volatility, everything, it brings you back to where we are right now. You get? So when you ask that question, and track official have been around, it means you missed a step somewhere. So please go back and do some research about that. But as Yugaman said, please don't feel bad about asking anything. Even me, I don't know everything in the Forex market. So there are some people here who are beginners who don't know anything. You can ask any question. No one will laugh at you here. No one will judge you. Get? And we'll answer what we know, and what we don't know, maybe we'll note it down and go back and do research as well if anyone asks something that we don't know. Hopefully, Track Official have answered your question.
Definitely, yes.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Track Official, for asking that question. And of course, um, I encourage everybody. It makes a lot of significance when everyone that has come for the space gets to ask a question, guys. I mean, we are doing this. Ivan will tell you, and I know many of you that have tried to go out and look for courses where people are sharing information that is very important, like what we share here. People ask you to pay. People, like, they give you 1, 2, 3 statements. They show you this is very important, relevant. Pay $100, pay $400, pay $500. And this is the opportunity, because we're doing this for home. We're doing this for our own people. So please go ahead and ask those questions. Yes, Timo Kemba, I see you want to say something.
Yes, so I wanted to ask Ivan. He talked about the fundamentals. How do you keep track of the fundamentals and you factor them in your trading before you blindly go into just doing technical analysis? Thank you.
Okay, fundamentals is I told you last time, you use the app they called investing.com to follow fundamentals. Even brokers these days, they give the fundamentals that are coming out, but trading.com is the best. It gives everything. So you go to that, you download that app, it shows you always the fundamentals that are in the market that day. But when you look at that app, those who already have it, it will show you stars. Those who have the app, I don't know, you can look at it right now as we are talking, and you see what I'm talking about. It has like stars. When you go to Forex fundamentals, where they are, it has stars, and then all bulls, a bull head. But always they highlight either one bull, or they highlight 2 bulls or 3 bulls. So when I'm trading, I usually follow news which are highlighted with 3 bulls, and sometimes 2, because they are the ones which affect the market most. The one bull, where they highlight one bull, they usually don't even like make any movement in the market. So don't waste your time on those ones. Even the 2 bulls, most of them are useless. So always make sure you put your effort on following where they highlight the 3 bulls in the market, where they are highlighted in white. You get, for those who have the apps. And also look at the countries, only the countries whereby you're trading that currency. Don't look at every country. Because why would you be looking at the news affecting the Russian market when you're not trading the Russian rumble? So it's not necessary. I hope Timo you've got that, because when you're following when you're following the fundamentals on charts, you won't see anything. Fundamentals can't. You have no strategy you're gonna use on the charts to follow fundamentals. You can only follow them and read the data that is coming out. And for a beginner, I advise for the start, you just watch. You will see that this fundamental is coming out at this time. So at that time, always go in the market and see what is happening in the market. Watch for like 2 to 3 months. After watching, then try putting in a trade on a demo during fundamentals and see you'll improve like that. Don't go straight into fundamentals and start trading them. If you're already trading a currency and it's gonna be affected by fundamentals, either put a stop loss, or if you're in profit, close that trade, take whatever you have, and wait for the next day.
Okay, fantastic. So Ivan, I also have some DMs here before I can allow Track Official to make a comment. So David is asking, is it necessary or possible to open different accounts or different charts to handle different pairs?
Exactly. That's what I do. No, not really pairs, but usually I open different accounts for different strategies. For example, fundamental, if I'm trading news, I have an account for news. If I'm trading if I'm trading supply and demand, or most strategies, like I don't mix them up a lot. So also it depends. There's currencies I trade on on less amount, and there are those which I trade on bigger amounts. So it depends. If you have the money to open different accounts, always do so. Don't put all your money in one account, because sometimes you might find, even like you want to open a trade in this, it will also help you in managing your losses, because brokers allow you to open even 20 accounts on one broker, you get. So there's no reason for you even to open in different brokers. You can open in one broker but having different accounts for different things. Even if you're saying I want to trade each pair on a different account, if you have the money, then why not, you get. But that's really not necessary. What is necessary is to have freedom of making sure you have money in different accounts, so that even if something happens and you make a loss this side, you've not lost all your money. Like they usually say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Unless you have one egg, then you can't put one egg in 5 baskets. Meaning, if you have $50, why separate it into 4 accounts? Just put it in one account, then move on. Maybe if you have more money, then you can put it in different accounts.
Ivan, so there is someone here who has made a comment in my DM saying, are you aware of the Forex Factory, and would you make a comment on forexfactory.com for fundamental analysis?
Forex Factory, is it a website or what? I don't know about Forex Factory, but let me search
Yeah, it's
here.
a website. It's a link, actually. It's a link. I think maybe they thought you know it, or it's something that maybe you can check out maybe and
Okay, I've seen.
uh,
I've seen. I've seen.
okay.
Okay, according to what I see here, it's very good. Like according to the information I see that they are giving, it's the same as investing.com. So those who are, if you're familiar with it and it's good for you, there, as I told you, there are a lot of different websites that give fundamentals out. Even my broker, me, I don't even need to go to any website. My broker gives me fundamentals, even sends them through email, telling me the fundamentals that will happen during a certain week. So I don't even need to go to any app. But if you have a website that you're familiar with and is good for you, use that. Don't complicate things for yourself, because I've said use investing.com. If you've been using another website, it will work for you too. Any more questions, Yugaman? Or we move on?
Track official, unmute yourself so you can have your question.
So Ivan, I'm here logged on to forexfactory.com, and for example, tomorrow, Friday, September 23rd, there will be news coming out at 3 a.m. Now, this time, is it in the local time or the other time? Like, because this news is affecting the AUD. So, which time? Is it the Ugandan time or? I just want to know.
Let me go to Forex
Okay,
Factory. And
yeah, for example, news is coming out for any pair, a given pair. So that time they
okay,
indicate
I see it. You're saying it's coming out at what time in Uganda? At
3
2,
a.m. 2, yeah.
2 a.m.
Yes.
Okay,
So is
I
it
see.
Ugandan
I
time
see.
or?
It's usually they put the websites are set in
Okay.
a way that it tracks your location and just gives you time in your location. Because if you say 2 and here it's telling me 1, it means 1 o'clock is for South Africa and 2 is for
Okay.
Uganda. Get?
Okay.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's why I said some of these or some of the markets I would advise you to trade is New York and London, because even fundamentals happen when you're awake. But if you're trading in the Asian session or the Australian session, you find that there are those kind of news which will come when you're sleeping. So they will affect you if you're not you're not in the market at that time or you're not ready. But as I said, you can always use a stop loss to avoid falling victim of blowing your account.
Ivan, I think actually that's very right. Maybe what people need to understand is most of those apps that do provide news about the forex market, or even the brokers that we are using, the time zone where we are, unless if you're using on VPN on your phone or on your gadget that you're using. If you're not using VPN, the times that are indicated for the news to come out or for the news events usually is actually time for your local time zone. So you don't have to, start adding maybe 3 hours or whatever it is, unless if it's maybe they have indicated that it is Greenwich time or maybe South African time, but most of the times you see on those apps are actually already configured to depict the time frames where you are. The time zones rather, not time frames. The time zones where the user is.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I see here those who use Forex Factory. There are different, like I said, on investing.com, for us we use bulls. Here they use colors. There is where they show you white, there is where they show you yellow, and there is where they show you red. Mostly the yellow and white are not even necessary. There and also there is orange. The news to follow usually look at the ones which have red, the red sign. They are the ones which are necessary to follow. Those other ones in orange, yellow, white, they're really not going to affect the market that much. So always look out for red and maybe orange sometimes. But for example, let me give you an example. Flash manufacturing PMI, that news we are talking about of AUD. Flash manufacturing PMI is only going to affect those who are trading stocks in manufacturing companies. Like if there is a manufacturing company in Australia and you're trading their stocks, it means that news would be affecting you. So you who's trading the AUD, you're not going to be affected at all by that news. You get. But when you look at tomorrow, the last news, if you're on forexfactory.com, the last news that if you're in Uganda, you can look at 9 p.m. The Fed chair Paul speaks. It's indicated red. Fed chair is the bank governor of what? Of America. But his speech comes with a lot of consequences to the market. Whatever he says people who are trading, they take it into consideration a lot, because you may speak about something that is going to affect the market, or sometimes you might come and talk about things that are not going to affect the market at all, because the US dollar is one of the most traded currencies. So you also have to look into those kind of things. You have to be knowing these kind of things. When you know, you have to know what core retail sales are, flash services. We learn these things. We haven't got there, but you also have to do your own research and see what does. For example, there is German flash manufacturing put in red. Search what German flash manufacturing fundamentals are about. Then see the trade, the currencies or pairs you're trading, and ask yourself, are they affecting me at all or not? Then, because you'll be knowing then that it's either affecting you or not according to what you're trading. Or, as I said, you guys, you can always follow me and come to my DM anytime and ask me and tell me, I saw this news or these fundamentals. Are they going to affect my trading? I'm trading this pair. Can I close it, or it's not going to affect me? I'll be able to give you feedback on that. So feel free to always ask. It's not a crime. Yeah, you got man. Anyone
Uh,
else?
there is someone here asking a question in the DM saying, "Good
Track of
evening."
people. Are
Drug,
you
I think.
answering?
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is someone here asking a question in my DM. This is Kasfa. So Kasfa says, "Good evening, Yogaman. I wanted to know why is the JPY pips? Why do JPY pips tend to be different from USD pips, and yet they are all major currencies?"
I'm not sure of the question.
I
The
think
JP.
actually confusing her is, when you're noting the JPY, it's got 3 decimal places on the figures that are given,
Oh,
or figures that are noted on the graph, on the charts, and yet the USD has got 5 decimal places in terms of figures.
which exactly which pair, like JPY what? Or so that I can explain very well, because when you look at for example USD JPY, it's right now it's at 142 something or 3 something. Reason, we explained these things. As I said, please always go back to the old spaces and learn these things. We said first is the major pair. Major pair is the USD. And then there is, the major currency, which is the USD, which will start. And then the JPY. So it means it's the US dollar against the Japanese yen. The figure you see is the forex rate of that currency. It's the denomination of the forex rate of that currency. It means if you go and sell $1 at a forex bureau to get Japanese yen, if you sell $1, they will give you 142 in Japanese yen. For example, if we are to trade the local currency, Uganda shillings, to US dollar, it will be USD UGX or UGX USD. I don't know which denomination it is, but once you go to the forex market and you trade USD UGX, you find that with $1, they will give you like 3,800 something Uganda shillings. You get? So that's the same thing that you're seeing here, but it's because you will find that when you trade Japanese yen, it will be only 3 figures at the start, which will be 142 142.32. But if it is a Ugandan shillings and the US dollar, it will be 3,800 maybe and 50 point something, point let's say 70. So it will have 4 figures at the start, meaning the Uganda shillings is way worse at its value than the US dollar. Same as the JPY. USD JPY. Its currency is way worse than when you compare the Euro US dollar. The Euro US dollar right now is at like 0.9833, meaning the US dollar right now is even higher in value than the euro, because the euro has always been higher than the US dollar, but now the euro has gone down in value to the US dollar. Usually it has always been 1 point something, because the euro has always been higher in value than the US dollar, but it has gone down now. That's why you see when we are trading the euro and the US dollar, the 0 point, it means 0.9, it means that the value, there is no value after the zero. The values start from 9, but those values are the ones for us in the trading, for us who are retail traders. Those are the things that we chase, the denominations, the decimal points after the zero. Those are the ones we trade. For example, if the market moves from 0. If I buy at 0.833 where it is right now, and it goes to 0.99, and it goes at 0.99, I'll make a lot of profit with only just that movement. Hopefully you've understood what I'm saying very well. That's a very big movement in Forex. Even if you have 0.01, you can make even like $10 only by that movement. Yugaman, hopefully we've answered the question of that person.
I hope so. Then there is also David. David is saying, are apps like Excellence and IQ Trading reliable?
First of all, I'll tell you delete IQ trading. Then Excellence, in the meantime, you can use it. I won't talk much about Excellence. Sometimes it's good for some people, depending on where you are, but personally, I don't recommend it. But for IQ, please delete.
Okay,
Don't even
fantastic.
waste your time.
Yes, so there is also another person here asking this. Hello, Yugaman. Which options of learning trading are available to get the fundamentals, basics, and formulas in trading Forex? That is from Alex.
What? Please repeat the question for me.
He says, which options of learning trading are available to get the fundamentals, the fundamental basics, and formulas in trading Forex? More or less like he wants to know where maybe to find the information or knowledge, because he is asking for which options are available.
Okay, personally, I don't know anywhere they teach about fundamental trading, because with fundamental trading, there is no one who is a genius about it. I'll teach you later in when we are learning. Yugaman, as we said, we'll introduce a group. Once we start teaching in that group, I'll be teaching strategies and how to trade using those strategies. So we'll be going to the practical side of things. I'll teach you how to trade fundamentals the easiest way. But there is no a strategy which is good for fundamentals, because with fundamentals no one knows the data that is going to come out, so no one can predict what is no not ever, don't even ever believe somebody is telling, he's giving you a signal for fundamentals, because not even those who are close to the who are relatives to the people who put out the data know it. The data gets known at the time when they release it. So that's when everyone will know that the data is out at that time. So with fundamentals, we just speculate, you get, and there are certain rules that we follow, even though we are speculating. We are not betting. We are speculating, but with also speculating, we follow certain rules in trading. So we'll teach about that in the practical way, because I can't teach it in theory and you understand it.
Ivan,
Yuga man.
question. Yes, there is someone. Musta actually says, uh, I don't know if this is the right time to ask, but can Ivan comment on the previous forecast and the actual to assume how the trading currency will be affected, like whether to buy or sell? So if he wants to know maybe the previous, like the historical data versus the actual, is there any impact of you knowing historical data, that how it can impact your trading tomorrow?
Yes, because for example, let's look at yesterday's news, which was about the interest rate. Right now, what you have to know, why you need to know the past, is because, for example, right now, what has been affecting the American market has been inflation, because they printed a lot of money during COVID. So that money is affecting the market a lot because there is a lot of supply in the market, and they are trying to reduce it. To reduce the money in the market, to make the currency stable again, they have to do what? They have to hike the interest rates, to put the interest rates higher, so that when people borrow money from banks and institutions, they'll pay in higher amounts. They'll bring in a lot of cash back to the banks. When that money is brought back in, the government will burn it out, and that money will go out in existence. That's why they hike the interest rates. When you're going to buy a house right now, let's say in America, when you're going to buy a house, if you're having like a salary of 100K, you would buy a house in January. Even before in January, you could buy a house of like 1 million and put in less money. But now you can buy a house half that, like for 500K, if you have a salary of like 100K per year, you get. So those are the kind of things that you need to know when you're trading fundamentals. And another thing, you need to know the if last time they hiked the interest rate by 0.5 bps, what is it gonna be this time? If it's the same, then it means, if it comes back when it's the same, what do other traders think about it? Do they think if it's the same it's gonna be bad? If it's the same, it's not gonna change anything? Or if it has come when it's below, what is it gonna do? And if it has come when it's high, what is it gonna do? We're gonna answer all those questions when we're teaching about fundamental analysis. It's gonna be a topic, practical topic. We're going to teach about it and go through everything on fundamental analysis.
So Jodra says, "Good evening, Sebo. Thanks for the space." And Ivan, which brokers then do you recommend? Of course, he has listened, I think, to the other question where someone was asking about Xness and IQ.
Mm,
So, saying, which brokers do you now recommend that as beginners they should be able to try out?
okay. Last time we were talking, actually, the last lesson before today, the last lesson we had, I talked about brokers for 2 hours. Go back and look for that space. It's not even 2 weeks back. It's like a week back, and listen to it, because I'll tell you, as a beginner, take this broker, but you won't know why I'm telling you to take that broker. So once you go back and listen to that space, you will know why you have to take a certain broker and which one to take. I don't even have to tell you which broker to take. You will just know which one you should take after doing the research that we talked about. And I said, if you want to know the broker that I'm using, come to my inbox. I'm not going to say out brokers here. Come to my inbox, and first of all, I'll have to first ask you questions. How much are you using to trade? Because I'll tell you, go to this broker and this broker, and you just go there and open a certain account, which is not the right one, and you end up losing money and blaming it on me. So when you come to my inbox, I'll ask you questions, and once you answer those questions, I'll know where to recommend you. I don't know if you want to trade stocks or you want to trade cryptos or you want to trade forex. I don't know. So I don't know how much money you want to use to trade. I don't know what is your trading style. So I can't recommend a broker to you right now without knowing all those things.
Okay, fantastic. I think, Ivan, we can move on to the next segment.
Well, what do you think about time, Yuga man?
I think let's finish today's conversation. You can maybe just a bit summarize the next segment so we can be able to finish it. Just to catch up because we missed Tuesday. So I think we can finish now. Today's conversation. Let's exhaust it.
Actually, the remaining part is the biggest part. What you do. It's
Yeah,
like has
maybe
a
it's
lot.
in 10 minutes, 15. Isn't that good time for you?
It will take 2 hours for this remaining part, but I'll summarize it so that maybe next time I put more emphasis on it. We start there.
Yes. That's okay.
Okay. We've talked about what are the best times and time frames to trade. What are the best pairs to trade? The third question was supposed to be what strategies should a beginner trade with? The strategies that a beginner can start with, I'm going to summarize these strategies, but we will be teaching each strategy practically once we start the practicals, one by one. One is supply and demand. You can note down if you have where to write down, and maybe also go back and read these things so that once I come back to teach these things, you have something that you know. One is supply and demand, trading zones. Two, which is support and resistance. Then we also have the trends, the downtrend and uptrend, or the lower highs and higher highs. Then we also have the sideways, the ranging trends. Then all those are like trend lines. You get you find them using trend lines. That's why I call them trends. The down and the upper trend. The downtrend is also called the lower highs, and the uptrend is also called the higher lows. But there is also the sideways or ranging trends. Then another strategy is using candlesticks. There is also chart patterns. Then also you need to know what is called the Fibonacci retracement. Then the momentum. Momentum, to find momentum of the market, we use we use indicators. These indicators, we have the RSI, we have the stochastic oscillator, we have the MACD. Those are all indicators that we use to find momentum. Then lastly would be trading psychology and risk management. We talked about this as a whole topic. Those who are not here, go back and look for that space. So those are the strategies I would recommend for a beginner. As I've said, today we are talking about a beginner. But if we are to talk about trading strategies as a whole, there are a lot of them. And if I start, I can't even finish them now. For example, I'll just mention a few because the list is very long. We have technical analysis. This one has charts, trends, support and resistance, technical indicators, Japanese candlesticks, moving averages, standard deviations, moving ADX indicators, oscillators, momentum, and we have zigzag, we have Heikenshi, we have there are a lot. As I said, once I start talking about the things that you need to know to find a strategy, we have the wicks, the chart patterns, we have the gun indicators, we have the let me see what else. We have ranges, we have I forgot a lot of them. So once I compile everything, we'll go through every chart pattern. We have the double and triple patterns, we have the guidelines, alternations, we have the Ichimoku, all those are indicators and patterns that we'll be learning about in the future. But for the beginner, take the ones that I mentioned first. Go back, do some research, learn about them. Once I come back for the practicals, we're going to learn about every one of them that I mentioned first. Then the last topic for today was supposed to be what should your trading plan be as a beginner. Trading plan is like what you should do before you go into the market. This is like, as let's say you're a farmer, you're not going to go to start by what? You're not going to start by harvesting. If you want to harvest, then there are certain things that you need to do before going into harvesting, or before planting. You also have to do some certain things. So in trading also, before you put in a trade, or before you get your profits out, there are certain things that you have to do before that. And I've talked about all these things. I'm just gonna outline them, as we don't have more time today. Next time when we come back, I'm going to go back and explain them very well. First of all, you have to have a trading plan. Trading plan includes a lot of things. So it starts with your strategy, coming back to finding the right lot size to use. That's a trading plan. Then also the next point should be finding the goal. What is the goal of that trade? What are you looking at? What are you looking at in the market for that certain trade that you've taken? Then the next is, have you looked at the support and resistance? Have you looked at the supply and demand? Have you looked at the candlesticks? What are the candlesticks telling you? Is there anything interesting about a certain candlestick that you're looking at, or anything weird? Then also you have to look at the news, the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals? These are all things you need to know before you go into the market, as I said. So you need to know, are there any news coming on this pair that I'm going to trade, and what are they about? Are they going to affect the market or not? Another thing you have to know is, are you trading the higher time frames or the lower time frames? You have to know, am I trading H4 or M1? Then after monitoring the time frames, then what time is it? Is it the New York session? Is it the London session? All those things. What market am I trading? Is there volatility in the market? And is your trade in the right space at the moment? Because also, like, as I told you, man, this week I was not able to trade because of some personal reasons I had. So you also have to put that in mind. You can't trade every day anytime you want. So you have to put in mind, like, am I really stable to go into the market? Do I have other things on my mind that are going to distract me, you get, at that certain moment? And before you go into the market, make sure you clear them all out before you start trading. So those are the kind of things that, as a beginner, I would advise you to take note of before you go into the markets. So for now, I think let's use these last 10 minutes maybe for questions and answers, and maybe talking about what has been happening throughout the week and what we've talked about today. Because I'm going to go back on these things and explain them better next week.
Okay, fantastic. There is someone, FX is asking a question. Would you recommend a beginner to trade cryptocurrencies?
No, I wouldn't. Reason being, they are too volatile and unstable for a beginner to understand. But you can use them for learning. Yugaman.
Okay, I think FX got the answer. There is someone who has requested for the mic. I know very soon. Okay, so Chosga, unmute your mic. Please go ahead, have your say or comment.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Ivan, thank you. You've mentioned two things. You've talked of trading strategies for beginners and the advanced ones. Though I know of about three, and I was wondering, are they also trading strategies or maybe the advanced? Because I was imagining you talk about ICT, smart money, and maybe price action. So where do those ones fall?
I before you go into ICT, order blocks, and smart money, before you go into those ones are not even a price action is actually beginner strategy. We're gonna talk about price action because you need to know price action and chart patterns before you go into strategies. The things I've talked about are not even like strategies. They are things that you use to make a strategy. For you to even those order blocks and what and ICT, they are not strategies. They are things that you put together to create a strategy. You get? So we'll talk about those ones I think in the extended course after we've learned everything. As once we have a group of experienced traders, we'll be teaching those ones because if I bring in ICT right now, somebody will get confused or order blocks. Somebody will get confused and ask themselves, what are we talking about? So we don't want to confuse anyone. We just want to take it step by step, one step at a time until we get there. We'll find because when we started, there are certain terms that I would talk about and people were not understanding. But right now, when I mention a term, we just move on like nothing. So that's why there is always a first step for everything. Even when you go to learn something at school, you start, when you're a kid, you start with ABCD because you'll be using that ABCD to write everything that you learn in the future. Some at that time you might not see it as important, but once you start, like right now, there is no sentence or anything you're gonna write without the ABCD and the numbers 1 2 3 up to 9. So everything that we're gonna be trading or teaching about starts from where we started, from what is forex trading, explaining it and clearing the myths about forex trading. That's where it all started. And here now we are talking about trading strategies, which pairs to trade. So it shows that we have reached a certain level. So for us, we can't jump. You maybe you're at a certain level right now, but I've been seeing you here. Like I said when the space was starting, even if you already have certain knowledge, it's always good to come back to these spaces because you'll also learn something new that you don't know, even if you're already experienced. So that's why we go back for everyone, and then we'll reach that level, and we get connected with you at that point because then we'll be at your level where you are, and we'll be talking about those certain things at that time.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Chosga, for that wonderful question. Um, Ivan, I think I'm just looking through my DMs. I don't see any new DMs coming through. Maybe also we could just have our concluding remarks. Of course, today we've gone beyond the time. We usually stop at 9:30, guys. But the fact that we didn't have a space on Tuesday, we felt it important to make sure we at
Actually,
least.
you got man.
Yes, yes.
Somebody asked me, "Hi Ivan, do many Ugandans use forex trading, and what could be the percentage?" So I really don't understand their question very well, and as I'm saying right now, they are not even in that place. So I don't see the need to answer that question because are, are many Ugandans do many Ugandans use forex trading? Of course, you exchange currency doing business every day. and what could be the percentage? I really don't know. I'm not into statistics.
Maybe one thing I can say is quite a number of Ugandans actually are into forex trading, but silently they are doing it as and also
What's
they
wrong?
don't. I think it's you a bit, Ivan.
Yes.
You can mute. Just okay. Kemba. It's Kemba's. It's Kemba's. He requested to be a speaker and his mic was open. That's why we're getting feedback. So what I was saying is, a lot of Ugandans actually are into forex trading, but in a solitary style. So individuals are actually doing this thing on their own. They own no YouTube channels. They are not good social media personnels like many people from other parts of the world. So I think that's why many people think like, okay, maybe Ugandans are not trading. Ugandans are trading, but they are doing it in a solitary style. They spend time learning things and they're doing it as individuals. So they are not as outspoken as maybe forex traders in South Africa or in Dubai or in Nigeria, Lagos, or anywhere. So that should not give you the confidence to think that maybe you're the one that is adopting this kind of trade. But also on the question of statistics, I know definitely there are not very many Ugandans, like when I'm talking numbers compared to other regions, there are not so many, but there is a significant number that is doing the trading. Kemba, I think you have a question. Please, you can now unmute and ask Ivan. Kemba, can you hear me?
Yes, I wanted to remind you about the poll. You said you were going to put up a poll.
Fantastic. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that shortly after the space. Thank you very much. I had actually forgotten because I was supposed to put it up and tag it on the chat. But I'm gonna do that after the space. I'm gonna post it on my TL so we can see if many of you will be available on Saturday. We can do what we were supposed to cover on Tuesday on Saturday morning hours. So I'm gonna do that, Paul, just after this space. Ivan?
Yeah, I wanted to say that after here, guys, you should go and vote on that poll if you can be available Saturday morning, so that we hold that space that we missed on Tuesday, and we also talk about what has been happening in the market over this week. That will be good. Hopefully, you learned something new here today, and please take note of the things that we've talked about. Go back and do your own research and learn. Not because we're not going to teach those things, but it will help you so that by the time we come back here, you know what we are talking about. It helps a lot so that you're also open. You know, if I'm talking about a certain things, I'm talking about support and resistance, you have an idea of what I'm talking about, not you listening to things and you're out of the blue. And as I said, as we had talked with Yugaman, around December, we might have one-on-one sessions when I come back to UG around that time. Then we'll also have like seminars. So there'll be a lot. There is a lot we're going to do. We've been discussing. We want to take this to the next level, and we need to make some millionaires in a period of 2 years from this. Yugaman,
Yeah,
you can add
fantastic.
on that.
Yes, thank you very much, Ivan. Um, I think there is quite, even at the end of this month, we're going to be making a very, very big announcement for the people that have been attending this. There's actually someone, Alex, who is already asking a question. What does it take for one to prepare and be able to attend the practical classes? We will be communicating all that, Alex, but for now, we still focused on the introduction of Forex trading to the community. And thereafter, we will be able to announce what it will take for anyone to qualify actually and be part of the group that will be doing the practicals. But one most important thing you need to understand is we're doing this because we all want to be at par. We actually want to know the journey we walk. A lot of people don't even get the opportunity to discuss what Ivan discusses for us here, and also have an opportunity to listen in on some of the practical and actual things. People are selling almost every single bit of information. So I'm really happy that our community is growing. I see a lot of patience with our members. Sometimes when we have issues and we're not able to do a space, they still hold and understand. Then they come back when we do hold the spaces. That is a very, very good trait which we want to encourage. So I'm going to be posting. Please, 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 please. I know there are about 33 people in this conversation, or 36. Please, 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 I ask you, do vote on the post that I'm going to make now, because that post is going to inform us if we do have a session on Saturday or we hold and have the next one on Tuesday. Yeah, but thank you very much, everybody that has attended. Ivan, do you have any concluding remarks before we close the chat?
I really don't have anything to say right now apart from enjoy your weekend, guys, because tomorrow is Friday, the next day is weekend. So it's already weekend almost.
Yeah, so thank you very much,
Sugarman,
Ivan.
Sugarman,
Yes,
by the way,
yes.
we need to talk about the East African Oil Corporation thing. I saw you having a lot of.
Yes, actually, these days I do a morning show called Good Morning Uganda, where we discuss some of the hottest topics that have been going on in the previous 24 hours. That's one of the major things. I sent out a DM to some people I had wanted to come through as speakers. They have not yet replied back, but it's one thing that I already have on plan. I hope we can be able to do it before we get out of the weekend, before Monday. Yeah, but it's
The
it's
only
something.
problem, Sugarman,
Yeah, yes.
the only problem with that session is that at that time most people be going to work, so they will only be most people will be listeners if they are listening, and they won't be speakers. And others like me, at that time I'm waking up to prepare for the market session, analyzing. So I don't know. What do you think about the timing that you put?
I think the morning show also covers some people, usually the early birds, but
Mm.
also the I had wanted it to be that way so that we can be able to catch up, because in the morning it's very easy to have a discussion of the previous hot conversations than bringing it to the afternoon, because during the day there's always news that is breaking and happening in that day. So that's why we put it in the morning. But maybe later on in the future, I may have to adjust a bit. But for now, I think we will stick to the morning hours, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. That's when usually that happens.
Okay, no problem. You- that is good. It's like a radio show in the morning. It's very nice.
Yes,
Sometimes I
yes.
even I think we should say good night and see you guys on Saturday if we are to 40 years.
Okay, fantastic. So, guys, I'm going to be making a post. Thank you so much for attending today, and thank you very, very much for coming through. We'll see you guys on Saturday. That's if you vote. Yes, we need to have a Saturday show. Or we'll see you on Tuesday for the normal conversations that we've been having. Cheers, get better, not bitter. And remember, the more knowledge you have about Forex trading, the better your decisions are. We'll see you again.
on either Saturday or Tuesday.